How Blue Origin won the contract to build the Human Landing System (HLS) for NASA's Artemis program, which aims to land the first woman and the next man on the moon by 2024. Blue Origin is a private space company founded by Jeff Bezos, the billionaire owner of Amazon. Blue Origin's vision is to enable millions of people to live and work in space, and to preserve Earth as a natural home for future generations. One of the ways that Blue Origin is pursuing this vision is by developing a human landing system, or HLS, that can transport astronauts to and from the lunar surface. The HLS is a critical component of NASA's Artemis program, which aims to land the first woman and the next man on the moon by 2024 and establish a sustainable human presence there by the end of the decade. But how did Blue Origin win the contract to build the HLS for NASA? And what makes their design unique and innovative? The story begins in April 2020, when NASA announced that it had selected 3 companies to design and develop human landing systems for the Artemis program. These companies were Blue Origin, Dynetics, a Leidos company, and SpaceX. Each company received a fixed-price, milestone-based contract for a 10-month base period, during which they had to demonstrate their technical feasibility and progress. Blue Origin's proposal was called the Integrated Lander Vehicle, ILV, a 3-stage lander that consisted of an ascent element, a descent element, and a transfer element. The ILV was designed to be launched on either Blue Origin's own New Glenn rocket system or ULA's Vulcan launch system, both of which are reusable rockets that can lower the cost of access to space. The ILV was also designed to be compatible with NASA's Orion spacecraft and the Gateway outpost in lunar orbit, which are part of the Artemis architecture. The ILV would dock with Orion at the Gateway, transfer the crew to the descent element, and then descend to a landing site near the lunar South Pole, where water ice and other resources are abundant. After completing their mission on the surface, the crew would return to the Ascent Element, which would rendezvous with Orion at the Gateway for their journey back to Earth. One of the advantages of Blue Origin's ILV was that it leveraged existing technologies and capabilities from both Blue Origin and its industry partners. For example, the Ascent Element was based on Blue Origin's reusable suborbital rocket, New Shepard, which has flown 15 successful missions to date. The Descent Element was based on Blue Origin's lunar cargo lander, Blue Moon, which was unveiled in 2019. And the Transfer Element was based on Northrop Grumman's Cygnus spacecraft, which has delivered cargo to the International Space Station multiple times. Another advantage of Blue Origin's ILV was that it involved a national team of leading aerospace companies that brought their expertise and experience to the project. These companies included Lockheed Martin, Northrop Grumman, Draper Laboratory, and Aerojet Rocketdyne. Together, they formed a strong and diverse team that could meet NASA's requirements and timelines. However, Blue Origin faced some challenges and competition along the way. In April 2021, NASA announced that it had selected SpaceX as the sole winner of the initial HLS contract, worth $2.9 billion. NASA cited SpaceX's lower cost and higher performance as the main reasons for its decision. NASA also said that it had insufficient funds from Congress to award 2 contracts as originally planned. This decision sparked controversy and criticism from both Blue Origin and Dynetics, who filed protests with the Government Accountability Office, GEO, claiming that NASA had made errors and violated procurement rules in its evaluation process. They also argued that NASA had jeopardized the success and sustainability of the Artemis program by choosing only one provider without competition. The GAO had 100 days to review the protests and issue a decision. During this time, NASA suspended its work with SpaceX on the HLS contract. Meanwhile, Blue Origin launched a public campaign to persuade Congress and the public to support its HLS proposal. It released an infographic comparing its ILD with SpaceX's Starship, highlighting its advantages in safety, reliability, flexibility, and compatibility. It also published an open letter to NASA Administrator Bill Nelson, offering to cover up to $2 billion of NASA's costs if it awarded Blue Origin a second HLS contract. On July 30, 2021, the Geo denied both protests from Blue Origin and Dynetics, upholding NASA's decision to award SpaceX with the HLS contract. The Geo found that NASA did not violate any laws or regulations in its procurement process, and that it acted reasonably and within its discretion. The Geo also noted that NASA had limited funds available for the HLS program, and that it was not obligated to make multiple awards. However, this was not the end of Blue Origin's quest for landing humans on the Moon. In August 2021, NASA announced a new opportunity for you. Companies to compete for contracts to build sustainable human landing systems for future Artemis missions. This opportunity was part of NASA's Sustainable Lunar Demonstration Program, SLD, which aimed to demonstrate key capabilities and technologies for long-term lunar exploration. The SLD program was effectively a second-chance contest that NASA organized after SpaceX was the sole contract winner in 2021. NASA said that it intended to award up to 2 contracts for SLD, each worth up to $1.5 billion over 5 years. NASA also said that it expected the SLD contractors to contribute at least 10% of their own funds to their proposals. Blue Origin seized this opportunity and submitted a revised version of its ILD proposal for SLD. It made some changes and improvements based on NASA's feedback and lessons learned from its previous bid. For example, it reduced its development costs by 50%, increased its payload capacity by 25%, and added more landing sites options. It also emphasized its commitment to safety, innovation, and collaboration. On May 19, 2023, NASA announced that it had selected Blue Origin as one of the 2 winners of SLD contracts, along with Dynetics. NASA praised Blue Origin's ILD design for its modularity, reusability, and flexibility. NASA also recognized Blue Origin's national team of partners for their proven track record and technical excellence. Blue Origin celebrated this achievement as a major milestone for its vision of enabling millions of people to live and work in space. Jeff Bezos congratulated his team and thanked NASA for trusting them with this important mission. He said that he was proud to be part of America's return to the Moon, and that he looked forward to seeing the first woman and next man land on the lunar surface with Blue Origin's ILD. Blue Origin now has 5 years to develop, test, and deliver its ILD for SLD. It will work closely with NASA and its industry partners to meet this challenge. If successful, Blue Origin will demonstrate its capability and credibility as a leader in human spaceflight, and will establish a new era of space exploration with NASA's moon lander. Blue Origin's HLS design is one of the proposals for NASA's Human Landing System program, which aims to land the first woman and the first person of color on the Moon as part of the Artemis program. Blue Origin's HLS design is based on its reusable New Shepard rocket and lunar lander concept, which have been successfully tested in suborbital flights. The design consists of 3 elements: a transfer element, a descent element, and an ascent element. The transfer element is responsible for delivering the HLS from lunar orbit to a low lunar orbit, where it can prepare for landing. The transfer element is powered by 2 B-7 engines, which use liquid hydrogen and liquid oxygen as propellants. The transfer element is designed to dock with either the Orion crew vehicle or the Gateway, a lunar orbiting platform that will serve as a staging point for lunar missions. The descent element is the largest and most complex part of the HLS design. It carries the ascent element and the crew to the lunar surface, using 4B7 engines for propulsion. The descent element has a large propellant tank that can store enough fuel for multiple landing attempts. The descent element also has a spacious cabin that can accommodate 4 astronauts and their equipment. The descent element is designed to land in a range of geographic regions, including the South Pole, where water, ice, and other resources are abundant. The ascent element is the smallest and lightest part of the HLS design. It carries the crew from the lunar surface back to lunar orbit, where they can rendezvous with Orion or Gateway. The ascent element is powered by a single B3U engine, which also uses liquid hydrogen and liquid oxygen as propellants. The ascent element has a pressurized capsule that can fit 2 astronauts and their lunar samples. The ascent element is designed to act as a crew habitat on the surface for up to 2 weeks, providing life support, communication, and navigation systems. Blue Origin's HLS design is intended to be reusable, reliable, and sustainable. The company plans to evolve its design into a more permanent architecture that can support continuous missions on and around the Moon. Blue Origin's HLS design is part of a national team that includes Lockheed Martin, Draper, Boeing, Astrobotic, and Honeybee Robotics. Together, they are competing for a NASA contract to develop a human landing system for the Artemis V moon mission. Blue Origin is not only aiming to land humans on the Moon by 2024, but also to establish a long-term presence and vision for millions of people living and working in space. To achieve this ambitious goal, Blue Origin has partnered with other companies and organizations that have expertise and experience in various aspects of space exploration and development. One of the key partners is Lockheed Martin, a leading aerospace and defense company that has been involved in many NASA missions, including the Apollo program, the Space Shuttle, and the Orion spacecraft. Lockheed Martin is responsible for developing the reusable Ascent Element vehicle that will carry the astronauts from the lunar surface back to orbit. Lockheed Martin will also lead crewed flight operations and training for the mission. Another partner is Northrop Grumman, a global security company that provides innovative solutions for space, aeronautics, defense, and cyberspace. Northrop Grumman has also contributed to many NASA programs, such as the Lunar Module for Apollo, the Space Launch System boosters, and the Gateway Habitat. Northrop Grumman will provide the transfer element vehicle that will bring the landing system down towards the Moon from the Gateway. A third partner is Draper, a not-for-profit research and development organization that specializes in guidance, navigation, and control systems for space exploration. Draper has a long history of supporting NASA with lunar missions, dating back to the Apollo guidance computer that enabled the first moon landing. Draper will lead descent guidance and provide flight avionics for the landing system. A fourth partner is the Club for the Future, a non-profit organization founded by Blue Origin to inspire future generations of explorers, inventors, and entrepreneurs to pursue careers in STEM and help shape the future of life in space. The Club for the Future engages students and educators through various activities and initiatives, such as sending postcards to space on Blue Origin rockets, creating lunar art projects, and awarding scholarships and grants. By collaborating with these partners, Blue Origin hopes to leverage their collective capabilities and resources to create a safe, reliable, and sustainable human landing system for NASA's Artemis program. Moreover, Blue Origin aims to foster a culture of collaboration and innovation among the space community and the public to realize its vision of millions of people living and working in space.